Let's bring in our panel. First, Skyping in, Josh Orton, Senior Advisor for Progressives United and a former aide to Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. And Josh joins us from Madison, Wisconsin. Meantime, from Newsmax, New York, it's our good friend Rick Ungar, the co-host of Steele and Ungar on Sirius XM Radio and senior political analyst for Forbes.com. So, Rick, as the senior analyst for Forbes.com and as a guest here, will Mary Landrieu pull off an upset and remain in the U.S. Senate?
In a word, no. She won't.
Well, short, sweet, hard to beat from my perspective. Josh?
How's that for analysis?
There you have it, pal. That's a springboard to discussion. Josh, your take.
Well, it depends on whose money I'm gambling with. Am I gambling with my own money or am I gambling with yours?
Oh, you know, I'm a fiscal conservative. It's got to be your money, Josh.
Oh, because I was going to say, if I'm gambling with yours, absolutely, she's going to win by a blowout. If I'm gambling with mine, maybe not so rosy. Look, I think this has been an incredibly tough race. I think that this, this Senate seat has long been on the endangered list for Democrats, and frankly, I understand that Senator Landrieu has a really tough needle to thread here with her votes on Obama policies. But look, I don't really understand at this point hedging your support for the Affordable Care Act. It's implemented, it's working, it's in place. Once you take these votes, you really have to stand behind them. Voters don't really appreciate when you vote for something and then sort of backtrack and say,
well, that's interesting, Josh, because I thought it was...
It's also not about the...
Well, I thought it was
It's not
portrayed...
about the Affordable Care Act.
Well, now, wait, it is a big part of this, though. Is it not,
No,
Rick?
It's not. It really isn't.
Okay, give me your take on
what it's about.
What
is she's the last Democrat standing in the South, and her time has come.
Well, mindful of that, I mean, it's as if there's no triage. I mean, the Democrats, granted, it comes after the election cycle, but she's not getting a heck of a lot of outside help. So I wonder what things must be like in the Senate Democratic cloakroom, Josh.
Yeah, well, I think that those in the Senate Democratic cloakroom are probably looking at the early voting results that everyone else is seeing and understanding that since the election in early November, the outlook has not become much rosier for Senator Landrieu, and I think everybody sort of knows which direction's up and which direction's down. And I think people are maybe beginning to start to look towards the 2016 map. I'm still hopeful for Senator Landrieu. I think she's been an effective senator. But, look, we can all read facts and figures the same way that Republicans can.
Well, Rick,
I wish I could share Josh's sentiment. I'd love to see her stay. I agree with him. She's been a pretty good senator. But this is not one that's in the cards. And there's no good reason that money should be spent on a race that you know is going to be lost.
Well, I guess that happens. Since I've got two guys from the left side of the aisle, I'll quote a Democrat.
This is left on left crime.
Yeah, not so much. We do have a bone of contention between you two coming up in just a little while as we continue to the discussion. But I guess it was Harry Truman who said, if you want a friend in Washington, buy a dog. Hey, with the 30 seconds that remain, Hillary Clinton, is she a lock for the nomination, or is Elizabeth Warren going to get into this thing? Josh, first to you, 10 seconds.
Look, I don't think Elizabeth Warren's going to run. She says she's not going to run, and I think we should take her at her word at this point. She's been an incredibly effective senator. She's been an incredibly effective campaigner for Democrats. And I think
all right, got that. So 10 seconds for Brother Ungar. What happens?
I agree completely. Elizabeth Warren won't run. I don't know that means Hillary Clinton is a lock. There are some other people out there who could challenge, but I don't believe it'll be Elizabeth Warren.
Interesting. Well, we'll see about that. We'll also see you back on the other side of the break to continue the conversation. Let's call back in our panel, Josh Orton, Skyping in from Madison, Wisconsin, and Rick Ungar from Newsmax, New York. For purposes of full disclosure, you two are lawyers, I believe, by training. I'm just a recovering lawmaker. The whole thing about the criminal justice system and the political process. Are there when I hear Congressman Jeffries, I don't know if that concern stated that way actually helps us solve problems. there's a place for outrage, but your take on the Congressional Black Caucus and the politicization of what happened in Ferguson. Josh, first to you.
Yeah, well, I think that the congressman is speaking to what's become obvious is a larger problem, and it's a perspective that a lot of white America doesn't understand, especially elite white America, and that's that many folks in the black community just don't feel like the justice system, especially their local justice system and their police departments, see them as equals or treat them as equals under the law. And look, we have a big problem when folks in cities and neighborhoods all across the country are expressing that they share the sentiment that the criminal justice system applies differently to them than it does to other people. And I think that talking about it that way brings to light something that I think was sparked by what happened in Ferguson. I think when we're looking at these hands up protests or these statements, peaceful statements, that's what it's speaking to. This is speaking to a larger issue and a larger concern. And as the president said, when one of our communities across the country, no matter what community, feels treated unequally under the law, that's a problem for everybody.
About a minute 30 left. Rick, your take on this.
Yeah, I think Josh puts it pretty well. Look, even my most conservative friends will acknowledge that we have two criminal justice systems in this country, and I think that is what the congressman's really speaking to. This is not something that we should ever tolerate. We've tolerated it for far too long, and we do have to fix this. Now, in terms of the hands up thing, excuse me, in terms of the hands up thing, look, it's a symbol. I've listened to too many people talk about how whether or not Michael Brown had his hands up or not. Don't care. It's simply a symbol, and symbols don't belong to either party uniquely. So let's not get too crazy about that issue, and let's focus on the real issue, which is the time has come for us to solve this problem of two different justice systems. It should not exist in a country like the United States.
Yeah,
Fair.
I think Rick's right, and you know, from you know, I'm sure Rick has experience, and I've seen this in the criminal justice system. Look, I think the Madison Police Department. I'm a big supporter of police departments. I think our police department and its chief is fantastic and are doing excellent community policing. But I'm sure, as Rick's seen and as others have seen, the incarceration rates, especially in Wisconsin, incarcerates a tremendous number of black people, just completely out of proportion with crimes committed.
But you're not suggesting they're innocent of the crime. See, we're getting into a sticky wicket here, and sadly, we only have 15 seconds left. Very quick, last word.
Josh said the key words. Josh said the key words. He said relevant to crimes committed. It's not about more black crime and more white crime.
Fair
it's look
enough.
at blacks committing crimes and whites.
Gentlemen, our thanks. We have to end it there.